Trevithick was 10 years older than my father, but just like him, he was as strong as an ox. Trevithick made his first engine in 1801, but it crashed into a house and set it on fire. In 1805, he came to Gateshead to make a locomotive, and it worked, but when it went out onto the wooden rails, it tore them apart. No one could think of a way to make a heavy engine run up and down hills without slipping off the smooth rails or breaking them. In 1812, a man called John Blenkinsop built a rack locomotive where there were cogs and slots by the side of the track that helped to keep the train on the track, but it wasn't successful. What my father did do was to take all of the ideas he had seen, heard or read about and put them together in his brilliant mind, and it was he who made them work. If you think about it, when my father was a boy, he had seen the wooden tramways. He had worked on steam engines all of his life. The French war with Napoleon was expensive, and feed for horses was expensive, and the pit owners needed a better, cheaper way to move all of the coal to the docks. So they gave my father the chance to develop his ideas of making an efficient steam-driven locomotive. George Stephenson, my father, produced his first locomotive train, Blucher, in 1814. He was 33 years old. Not bad for a self-taught pitman. It ran at an extraordinary 4 miles an hour. 4 miles an hour on July the 25th in 1814. And it carried 8 wagons of coal that weighed together 30 tons. And that was much better than anything a horse could do. The Blucher was heavy and awkward and would break down all of the time. But this just made my father more determined to find out a way to fix it and make it run better. The engines that he made kept breaking the wooden rails, and this just made my father work harder. Every time there was a problem, he would try to find a solution to fix it. My father was very lucky, because he was given 2 days a week to develop and produce new and stronger rails. And with the ironworks owner William Losh, he developed and patented cast iron rails, and all of Killingworth Colliery's tramway was lined with them. This was then followed by the 8-mile stretch of the Headon Colliery line, also being made out of iron rails. My father's brilliance was that he was allowed to build upon other people's ideas and mistakes and then make them right and make them work. He was determined and stubborn enough to want to make them work. One of the things that people forget is the way that horses were treated on the roads, in industry and in the pits. It was cruel and unrelenting work. And my father knew that locomotives would save them from such terrible treatment. But people came from all over the world to see the track that my father had laid. And the locomotive, of course. Everyone was impressed. Businessmen knew that they would be faster, cheaper, better and more efficient at taking goods than canals and barges. In 1820, a Quaker merchant called Edward Pease from Darlington became interested in the idea of a network of railways in Britain. Quakers were known for their business enterprise and sober reliability, and together with my father, they developed the world's first public railway. Edward Pease wanted to help merchants and workers by making cheaper transport between the mines in South Durham and the North Sea at the mouth of the Tees, the River Tees. Edward Pease believed in my father's ideas, and his generosity and connections allowed the Stockton to Darlington Railway to be built. At first the company thought that it would be a steel rail tramway with wagons pulled by horses and men. My father, George Stephenson, had spent too much time with engines to let that happen, and he was determined to have locomotives on the track of malleable rails invented not by him, but by the Bedlington engineer John Birkinshaw. The first rail was laid in place on the 23rd of May 1822. Iron railway bridges such as man had never seen before were designed and made by my father, and in 1823 they were allowed to run steam locomotives on the track. I, with my father, Edward Pease, and Michael Longridge, opened our own locomotive factory in Newcastle upon Tyne in 1823. We had a faith in steam engines, and we knew that it was the way of the future. The locomotive locomotion cost £500 to build, and the grand opening of the first public railway on the 27th of September 1825 with a tender, wagons filled with coal and flour, the grand passenger carriage The Experiment, wagons of coal to be given to the spectators, and it was all seen by 40,000 people who had travelled from all over the countryside to see this new iron horse. It was a great day and a great start to what was to be the birth of the railways. My father did many unbelievable things in his life. He was not liked by everyone, but he enriched everyone's life with cheaper travel, goods and food. He did say of himself, and I can hear his voice, "People have tried to keep me down because of my abilities. People say that I am proud, but I have every right to be proud, as I have no peer. Others, like Trevithick, may have laid the foundations, but it is by my own enterprise, hard work and determination that I made their ideas work. No one can contradict me, as I am the only one to have developed the locomotive so that it is efficient and cheap."
Hear the click, clack, click, we're on the right track. It's good to go, better to come back. Get on board, hold on tight, our journey's just begun. The hiss of steam, sparks and smoke, heat the boiler, that's no joke. Gleaming engine, coal and fire, roaring through the night. Hear the click, clack, click, we're on the right track. It's good to go, better to come back. Get on board, hold on tight, so far away from home. Strong, dark, thick black smoke, diesel fumes will make you choke. Stokers gone, no coal, no fire, no suit upon the line. Hear the click, clack, click, we're on the right track. It's good to go, better to come back. Get on board, hold on tight, far away from home. Always gone, no more steam, no crackling coal, no whistle scream. Just think back to a better time when steam was king. Hear the click, clack, click, we're on the right track. It's good to go, better to come back. Get on board, hold on tight, our journey's just begun. So far away from home, far away from home, our journey's at an end.